Diabetes continues to be a problem around the world and here in the United States. And everyone talks about treatment for diabetes, management of diabetes. Everyone talks about lifestyle modification. And lifestyle modification is making changes to your everyday routine in order to improve your health. But what does that really mean? This can involve anything from changing your diet to exercising. But what does it really mean? We've been telling people lifestyle modifications for a long time. But what does it really mean? That's what we're talking about in this episode. What does lifestyle modification really mean? If you're new to me, this is Dr. Dwayne Wood. The Wood stands for, or the E stands for endocrinology. And here on the channel, I help to educate, I help to empower, and I help to encourage you to take charge of your health and your life. Avoid complications. Live the life you've always wanted and go to the next level. I am in the midst of Diabetes Awareness Month, and I've been doing a show just walking through diabetes. This is show number, I don't even know what number this is, 17, 18 maybe? What day is today? They're out on our YouTube channel. They are in a playlist called Diabetes 101. So if you've not done so yet, I want you to go back. I want you to go out. I want you to look at those and make sure that you are caught up, and then come on back. Well, do that after you watch this episode, and then come back and look at this again. But tonight we're continuing that series, Diabetes 101, and tonight we're talking about lifestyle modification. You know, we talked in the previous shows about what diabetes is, how it develops, what risk factors are, and we've talked, I gave a list of three different things three different categories of treatment, right? So lifestyle modification, non-prescription treatment, and then prescription medication. And that's what we are going through, but we're starting tonight in this episode with lifestyle modification. So let's hop over there and bring our slides up. So treatment, lifestyle modification, right? That's one of those. So the body is an amazing device, an amazing engine, amazing mechanism, if you will, because there are so many things that go on in the body and they all need energy. And I sometimes liken the body to an automobile, and I'll show you a picture of that in a minute. But when most people talk about lifestyle modification, they typically talk about diet and exercise. Diet and exercise. And that is true, that is involved with lifestyle modification, but there are so many other things that are there. And if you look at the diagram that's on your screen, you'll see that there are 7 things that I have listed. And then, and if we wanted, we could break this up even more finely. But lifestyle modification has to do with your diet, of course. It has to do with activity or exercise. It has to do with sleep, stress, anxiety, depression, managing pain, managing inflammation. And there's so many other things that we can add. But I think this is a good selection of the top things that we want to make sure that we're managing when we talk about lifestyle modification. So as I mentioned, the body is an amazing machine, right? It's kind of like a car. And remember, the car uses gas for energy in our bodies, and we've talked about energy and what that means on previous episodes. Go back and watch those. But in our body, we're putting energy in, and just like we put it in the car. And there's this thing that used to happen when I lived up in the cold weather, right? I'd come out, and if you had an old car and you try to crank it, and you get that, right? And it wouldn't start. And you'd hit the gas a couple of times, the gas pedal a couple of times, and then and it would start up. But if you hit the gas one too many times, you would flood the carburetor. Now, there was energy, there was power available to the car, but it didn't work because the carburetor was flooded. And so you didn't want to flood the carburetor because a car would not function. It wouldn't run. You'd have to wait. Just like in the body, we have all this substrate. We have all this stuff that we're bringing in, right? All this food, proteins, carbs, fats. And what we're trying to do in the body is not to flood the system. Some sugar, some glucose, which is what energy the body uses. All our food gets converted in some form to energy or to build things. And our goal is not to flood the system because we need some of the food, but we don't need as much. And so when we flood the system, we run into other issues. So the first thing that we want to really kind of talk about is we want to talk about in more detail, right? And we've talked about carbs in general and proteins in general and fats in general. We're not going to spend a lot of time talking about fats and proteins, but I want to spend some time talking about carbohydrates because carbohydrates, this is one of those things that's been demonized. We have such much misinformation that's out there. So let's talk a little bit about carbohydrates. The first question I have for you is if you're out there, I wanted to ask you, can you spot the carbohydrates? I've got some on screen, if you're not able to see the screen. I've got some potatoes. I've got, rice, a basket of fruits and vegetables, pasta, a little fruit salad, some broccoli, a loaf of bread with slices. I've got a cucumber there, right? So can you spot the carbs in this picture? I'm giving you a second there. Right? You remember that? You recognize that? You recognize that tune, right? So can you spot the carbs? Because everybody talks about carbs. Carbs are bad. Carbs are good. You shouldn't eat this carb. You should eat that carb. Should you eat complex carbs and not complex carbs and carbs with fiber, carbs without fiber? But in this picture, can you spot the carbs? And the answer is that they're all carbs. Well, yes. The potato is a carb, and the cucumber is a carb. The bread is a carb, and the rice is a carb. The baskets of vegetables that's there and fruits, those are carbs. The fruit salad is a carb. The bell pepper is a carb. The eggplant is a carb. In fact, if I had to define a carb, I would say a carb is anything that grows out of the ground, or anything that comes from anything that grows out of the ground, right? Which is why pasta and bread are carbs, because they come from wheat, and wheat comes from the ground. Rice comes from the ground. Potatoes come from the ground. Cucumbers come from the. So that's the definition. So if a Martian comes down, right, and says to you, "Hey, I'm trying to avoid carbs. What should I not eat?" You can say, "Hey, anything that grew out of the ground, you shouldn't eat that, because those are carbs." If it doesn't fall in that category, it is not a carbohydrate. Now, some of you are out there. You say, "Wait a minute, I grew mine in a bucket, right? I grew mine in a box." Right. But you understand what I mean, right? It grows out of the ground, out of the dirt, out of the water, out of the medium that you're growing in, out of the bucket, the water in the bucket, the fertilizer in the bucket. If it grew in that way, then it is a carbohydrate. If it used to run, jump, swim, fly, hop, it's not a carbohydrate. Unless you take it and you bread it, you batter it, bread it, then it becomes a carb. Right? That country fried steak that you made, yeah, there's some protein in there, but there's a lot of carbs in it, right? Depending on how thick that batter is, right? So if it grew out of the ground, then it is a carbohydrate. And it will raise your blood sugar. Yes, I said that. It will raise your blood sugar. Now, let me hasten to say that there's this myth that if you eat certain carbs, they won't raise your blood sugars. All carbs raise blood sugars. All carbs raise blood sugars. All carbs that we are able to digest raise blood sugars, because there are some things that we can't digest, right? Like if you go outside and you eat a piece of bark and swallow it, your body's not going to be able to digest it. So that's going to pass through you, right? That's a lot of fiber. So the body doesn't absorb that. But anything that you eat that can be digested and broken down in your system, that is a carbohydrate, will raise your blood sugar. Now, I did not say that it's a bad carb. I did not say that. I'm just simply saying it raises your blood sugar. In fact, even if you're not a diabetic and you eat a carb, your blood sugar will go up. Wait a minute. Wait. What did you say, Dr. Wood? That's right. If you're non-diabetic and you eat carbohydrates, your blood sugar goes up. Well, if that's the case, then what's the difference between a person who has diabetes and a person who doesn't have diabetes? It's not the fact that the blood sugar goes up that's the definition of diabetes. Remember, diabetes is an insulin problem. And the problem is that the blood sugar goes up too high and stays up too long, because we don't have insulin. Because remember, insulin is supposed to take the sugar, put it in the cell, right? And then the blood sugar goes down in the body. But if it doesn't do that, then blood sugar rises. If you don't have any insulin, or you don't have effective insulin, then you have high blood sugars. That's the definition of diabetes. So carbs raise blood sugar. Carbs are supposed to raise blood sugar. Why? Where do we get energy from? From the food that we eat. And if the carb doesn't raise the blood sugar, then there's no point in eating the carbohydrate. Okay? Now, we're not going to get into whether it's a high glycemic index or low glycemic index. That's a whole nother conversation, right? And people ask me that, they come in, their blood sugars are high, 200, 300s. And they'll say to me, should I eat, is this particular thing high glycemic index or low glycemic index? And I say to them, for you, it doesn't matter. What did you say? Yeah, for you, it doesn't matter whether it's high glycemic index or low glycemic index, because it's the chocolate cake that you're eating, or the cookies that you're eating, or the whatever that you're eating. So it's not the high glycemic index or low glycemic index. Chocolate cake is chocolate cake. Right? So let's deal with the bigger problem first before we get into the minutia. Right? So if you're out there and you're talking about glycemic index, and if it's high and this, how much fiber should I subtract the fiber? If your blood sugars are high, that's not your problem. Okay, so when we talk about carbs, that's not the problem for a lot of people, whether it's high or low glycemic index. Okay, that's the first thing. Then let's talk a little bit about what the body does. So you eat something, blood sugar goes up. If you're diabetic, you don't have effective, or you don't have insulin at all for type 1s. And we're eating food and the blood sugar is going up, right? And the blood sugar stays up. Do you know that it's really not the fact that you ate the food that caused the blood sugar to go up that's the problem in terms of treatment, right? I mean, we've already established that it's an insulin problem, but we now have the insulin that has done its thing or not done its thing. Now we have diabetes. And the consequence of having diabetes is the high blood sugar, right? So we've gone past what the mechanism is. We know it's insulin, but now we have the result, which is high blood sugar. So now it's not really the fact that you ate the cookie that caused the problem. It's the fact that you ate the cookie and you didn't treat it. Whoa. What? Did you follow what I said? The problem for a lot of people is not the fact that they ate the cookie or the candy or the pasta or the whatever it is, whatever the carb is that they ate that raised the blood sugar. That's not their problem. The problem is that they ate it, but they did not treat it. Because if they ate it and they treated it, guess what? The blood sugar would be normal. It's kind of like going to the grocery store, right? And everybody has a Walmart or whatever your local store is. It's kind of like going to the store and picking up some stuff, right, that you like in the store, and then taking it and walking out of the store without paying for it. What happens? Yeah, you end up in the big house, right? Because for everything that you take off the shelf that you're going to walk out with, you have got to pay for it. And if you don't pay for it, you run into trouble. And that's the issue with diabetes when people are eating carbohydrates and not treating. Notice I keep saying treating. I did not say medication. I said treating. That's the problem. That they went to the store, in our analogy, they got something off the shelf, and they walked out the door without paying for it. And the not paying for it is what causes the problem. So when you eat a cookie or you eat a carbohydrate, let's make it more generic. When you do that and you don't treat it, that's where the problem is. You ate it, but you didn't pay for it. You ate it, but you didn't treat it. You took it, you picked it up, you walked out the store without paying for it, and you got into trouble. Same thing when it comes to carbohydrate and diabetes. If you eat it, you've got to pay for it. If you eat it, you got to pay for it. They go together. You can't do one without the other. So people come to the office, and I see them in our practice, and I ask them, well, why your blood sugar is high? And they say, oh, I ate that bag of chips. And I said, well, you ate the bag of chips, but how did you treat it? And so I didn't treat it. Well, that's the issue. Now, you probably know people in your family, your grandparents, dad, mom, whoever. And a lot of the folks before our generation, you know what they did after they finished eating? They walked. They finished eating and they went walking. Because they were treating what they finished eating. Now, they may not have known that that's what they were doing. But they were paying for what they were doing. Right? Eating, treating. So people say, well, how much carbohydrates should I eat? And I tell them that they should eat 45 grams of carbs with each meal, 135 grams of carbs per day. Now, I want you to watch this. A lot of people say, hey, I was told I should eat 6 small meals. And I said, well, okay. And notice I say 135 daily maximum. You know why I put that there? Because I was in the office once and I said this to someone. I said, hey, you should eat 45 grams of carbs per meal. They went away and they come back. And they said, well, this isn't working. This is not working. I said, what do you mean? They said, well, my blood sugars are still high. I said, are you doing the 45? They said, yeah. I said, well, tell me what you're eating. Well, I did 45 for lunch, breakfast, 45 for lunch, 45 for supper. When I had my snack that night, I had 45 grams. But I said, wait. There's a total maximum for the day. You can't just eat 45 all day, right? 45, 135 maximum for the day. And so when people say small meals, 6 small meals, then that 6 small meals, should we even get into whether that's true or not? I'm not going to do that at this moment, maybe in a minute. 45 comes from, if you eat breakfast and 40, well, not 45, the 6 small meals. So 45, right, per meal. And if I'm going to eat 6 small meals, then I break that 45 up into 2. So maybe I'll eat 30 for breakfast and 15 for a snack. 30 for lunch, 15 for a snack. 30 for supper, 15 for a snack. Notice my overall total for the day is still 135. But what happens often is people will say, I'm eating 45 for breakfast, 45 for a snack. 45 for lunch, 45 for a snack. 45 for supper, 45 for a snack. And then I have another snack later on, right? So boom, 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 boom. So first of all, understanding that all carbs will raise your blood sugar. Carbs are things that come out of the ground. They grew out of the ground, or they made from something that comes out of the ground. All of them will raise your blood sugar. The problem for a lot of diabetics is not that they ate the carbs, but that they did not treat the carbs that they ate. And then there is a limit to what the number of carbs are that you should eat. Remember, there's nothing in life where you can do all that you want, right? You can never like sleep all you want, work all you want, not work all you want, drink all you want, eat all you want, right? That's never the case. There's always portion control in life. There's a word that the old folks used to use, right? It's called temperance. Temperance, the old church word, I guess. And you know what temperance means today? Portion control. That's what it is. Portion control in everything. Control in everything you do. When you play, when you work, when you are happy, when you're sad. Control portions. And so carbohydrates, same thing. Portions, 45 grams per carb. Now, I want you to listen to me. I'm not giving you permission to go and eat whatever you want, but I want you to follow me with this, right? I want you to follow me. If you want to eat more than 45 grams of carbs, how can you do that? You have to treat more than 45 grams of carbs. It's kind of like going to the grocery store, right? So you only have $100 and you want $105 worth of stuff. What do you need to do? You need to go find $5 more. Well, more because you got taxes, right? Right? Or if there's something you're purchasing, a car or an outfit or a phone or, I mean, anything that you want that is more, that costs more than what you have in terms of money or payment. If you want that thing, you have got to find more payment. So on your birthday, for example, or your anniversary, somebody comes into town, you're probably going to eat more than 45 grams. I mean, let's be honest, right? I would. It's my birthday. All right, I won't tell you about that chocolate lava cake that they used to have here at this one restaurant. They closed, man. Yeah, chocolate, chocolate lava cake, caramel with almond. Now, I didn't eat the whole thing, okay? I'm just saying. But it's your birthday. It's your anniversary. You're going to eat it. How do you offset it? By treating it, by paying for it. Now, there are lots of different ways you can pay for it. One of the things, and for instance, Thanksgiving is coming up, right? Thanksgiving is coming up. And everybody who's out there watching me, you know that you're not going to be sitting at the end of the table eating rice cakes and celery, right? You're going to be in there getting some dressing and some cranberry sauce. You're going to get a piece of apple pie or pecan pie or pumpkin pie or whatever kind of pie. You get that turkey. And you're going to eat more than you planned. Now, if you're walking by, your plate's piled yay high, and then you go back and get another plate piled that yay high, that, don't do that. So what do you do in those cases? What do you do in those cases? I mean, there are lots of things you can do, right? You can try to offset it. I mean, if you're going out to dinner, eat something before you get there. Eat some at home where you're controlled so that when you get there, you can enjoy some of the things that are available, but you don't have to eat as much because you've already eaten over there. Plan that you are going to have some activity, right? And we'll come back to that slide in a minute. Because remember, I said treatment. I didn't say medication. So we're talking about treatment, right? Lifestyle modification. Comes in lots of different forms. All right. So have I beaten that to death? Yeah. 45 grams of carbs. Okay. So once again, if it comes out of the ground, it is a carb. Comes out of the ground, it's a carbohydrate. And so lifestyle modification has to do with watching our diet, watching the carbs. Okay. Now, an interesting thing within carbs, fruits and vegetables are full of vitamins, nutrients. They've got those phytochemicals. When you eat a fruit, you get sugar from it. And people say, well, I shouldn't eat the fruit as a diabetic. Well, no, that's not true. Because when you eat a fruit, you're getting a lot more than just the sugar, right? You're getting the vitamins, you're getting the fluid that comes with it. Which is why it's better to eat the fruit than to drink the juice from the fruit, right? Because the juice is just pure sugar, right? So diet, activity, that's exercising. And let me pause there for exercise and to say this. Just like the car, when you put that gas in the car, the food that we eat, there is no other way. What did I say? There is no other way to get the energy out of the body, out of the car, than to drive it. Unless somebody's siphoning the gas out of the car, right? So when you eat and that food goes into your body, there's no other way to get the energy out of the body than to burn it off, to use it. And that in people terms is called exercising. And the exercise is a treatment for what you ate. Right? Remember, I said I'm not talking. I didn't mention medication. So if you eat a cookie, you can burn it off. If you eat a bowl of pasta, you can burn it off. If you drink some juice, you can burn it off. You get to decide how much you want to pay for what you're about to eat. You get to decide when you go to the grocery store what you can purchase off the shelf with the money you have. So if you know that you don't ever want to exercise, right? People say, I'm not going to exercise. I don't like to sweat. Well, guess what? That's some of your funds. That's some of your money that you're not using, right? So they go together. They go together. That is a way of managing blood sugars without medication. Whoo, what? If you eat it, treat it. Eat it, treat it. Now, if we move on, right? 3, 4, 5, right? On the diagram that you're seeing there. Sleep, stress, anxiety, depression. All of these have probably the same common pathway for raising blood sugar. And actually, I should add the other two, the pain and the inflammation. Right? So one of the things that happens in the body is the stress response. When you don't sleep well, the next day you're stressed. If you're stressed, you're stressed. If you're anxious, you're stressed. If you're depressed, hormones are moving around, right? And all the hormones that come out in that stress response, their job is to go and find energy, right? Because stress says that there's some danger around that you've got to take care of. And whenever there's danger, whenever the body sees or feels like you're stressed, it goes and tries to mobilize energy so that you could deal with the stress, right? So the body thinks you're about to run from a tiger or bear or something. And if I'm about to run, my muscles need what? Energy. And so I'm going to go find energy in the body. So the body ramps up its process of finding energy. Epinephrine comes out, right? And epinephrine sensitizes the body, the muscles, to the effects of cortisol, which is another stress hormone. And both of them together go out and they start breaking down glycogen, right? Those stores that we've been talking about, when the body stores it away somewhere, breaks those down to try to create sugar so that you can have energy. So when you don't sleep well, you're stressed. When you're stressed, anxious, depressed, if you're in pain, there's stress. And then inflammation makes the body more resistant to the effects of insulin. So when you're inflamed, the insulin that you have doesn't work as well. So you are increasing insulin resistance. So lifestyle modification has to do with all of the things that we do that help us move in a healthier direction. So when people talk about lifestyle modification, when you hear that term, let's not stop on diet and activity. Let's move on to say, okay, how much sleep are you getting? Are you getting 7 hours of sleep? And are you getting 7 hours of restful, restorative sleep? Notice the words that I use. Because it's during sleep that the body rejuvenates and restores and rebuilds. Testosterone level goes up when you get good sleep, deep sleep, right? Your thought processes, the body, the brain integrates your world into the existing world, right? It's there where the brain takes the stuff that happened to you today and files it away in a place so that they all form a cohesive unit during sleep. And if you're popping up and down all night for whatever reason, right? You have sleep apnea that you're not treating. You have high blood sugars, and so you're getting up to pee all night. You have backache, back pain, leg ache, shoulder pain. And you're just tossing and turning because you're trying to find a comfortable spot. You're anxious and stressed, so your brain is going all the time, so you can't sleep. You wake up thinking about stuff. You're depressed. Right? So all those things disturb sleep. And if there are things going on in your life that are causing anxiety, stress, and depression, we've got to be able to deal with those, manage those. Because if not, I often give the example to people that stress is kind of like if you guys have ever done like a fire, you've ever made a fire, a wood fire, right? Either you're grilling or it's in the fireplace, or you've been out camping, or you guys are just kids and you're starting a fire. Do kids do that anymore? Right? Out new. Yeah. If you started a fire, and the wood is burnt out, right? And there's no flame. But if you walk over to those smolders, the little embers, and you take a teaspoon of kerosene or gas and you pop it on there, guess what happens? Huge, right? That's what happens when stress, anxiety, and depression encounter your life. You're going along, nothing's on fire, nothing's burning down. You may have some issues going on, but you add some stress to that, some anxiety to that, some depression to that, right? All of a sudden, your life blows up. Blood pressure's up, blood sugar's up, right? You can't sleep. Heart rate goes up. All those things begin happening. So managing stress, anxiety, depression, huge. And then if you're in pain, pain causes depression. Pain causes the inability to sleep. Pain causes so much disturbance. And then, of course, we mentioned inflammation, right? All the other disease processes, rheumatoid arthritis, osteoarthritis, lupus, right? On and on and on. Crohn's, ulcerative colitis. All the inflammatory processes. Huge, huge, huge. So notice when we talk about lifestyle modifications, not just diet and activity, not just diet and exercise. So much more that we need to consider and take into account. All right, so let's review one more time, right? So lifestyle modification. Lifestyle modification is doing things that, or making changes in your life, let me say it that way, making changes in your life that are with the intention of helping you head in a healthier direction, okay? And healthier direction. So making changes to your everyday routine in order to improve your health, okay? And you saw on there, we've got diet, activity, right, which is our exercise, sleep, stress and anxiety, depression, pain, inflammation. So dealing with all those things is what we're talking about when we talk about lifestyle modifications. And doing these things will help with blood sugar. And the key takeaway is, if you eat it, you got to treat it when we talk to diet. But all the other things help as well. So energy in the body, the only way to get rid of it is by burning it off. Activity, right? All the things, stress, anxiety, depression, sleep, pain, and pain, they all have probably a common pathway, which is the body, it has stress hormones that it uses to try to get you prepared for whatever stress or situation you're dealing with. And then inflammation makes the body not able to use the insulin that it has as effectively, right? So basically, it makes you more insulin resistant. But the key to lifestyle modification is to find changes that you can stick to over the long term, right? Anybody can do something for a week, a month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, maybe even a year. But we want to find things that we can stick to long term, because making sustainable lifestyle changes, while it can be difficult, is beneficial and worth it. Living a healthier lifestyle can lower your risk of developing chronic diseases such as heart disease, stroke, and then of course it can improve your diabetes, and certainly can improve insulin resistance and pre-diabetes, right? Because we're trying to prevent the progression to diabetes. I'm so glad that you were here. So glad that you were here. Once again, if you've not already done so, please, if you're getting benefit from the videos that we're doing, this video, for example, give it a thumbs up, give it a like, share it with somebody so that they understand the concepts that we just went through, right? Amazing. If you've not already done so, go ahead and subscribe to our channel, to my channel, right? Dwayne Wood MD, and you see it there under my name over there. No, that way. Yeah, right here. Yeah, somewhere. Dwayne Wood MD, okay? Log into your account. If you don't have an account, create a free account on YouTube. Log in, hit subscribe, and then hit the notification bell so that you'll be alerted when new content comes up. I'm trying to build the community trying to educate, empower, encourage, and your participation along with me helps. It lets me know, first of all, that, yeah, you appreciate and that you are getting value from the things that we're doing. It lets YouTube know that you appreciate and you like the content that we're doing. And it lets the world know that you like the content and you're getting benefit. So once you've subscribed, you created your account, you subscribe, you've hit the bell, then the next thing I want you to do, two more things. One, go out and share it. Send the videos to people that you know who have diabetes, who may have prediabetes, insulin resistance, PCOS, metabolic syndrome. If you're a healthcare provider, this is a perfect, wonderful opportunity for people to get a description and get a walk through diabetes. This is a great place for them to start looking at diabetes as you are working with them to improve their lives. This is it, right? You don't have to spend the time anymore, right, going over all this. You can answer questions because they've already gone through it. And you can spend your time doing the things that you want to do in terms of helping to treat and helping them move along in their in the process. Okay? So allow me to do the heavy lifting for you. Diabetes 101 is the name of the playlist that I've created that has all these videos. So go out and watch those. And thank you. I appreciate you coming by. Come on back for our next episode that as we continue our trek, right? We're in the treatment trek now. And come on back and watch those with us. If you are watching this on the replay, go ahead and put hashtag replay on the hashtag replay in the comments. Thank you for doing that. Anyway, this is Dr. Dwayne Wood. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. And here on the channel, I educate, I empower you, and I encourage you to take charge of your life and your health. Avoid complications and live the life you've always wanted, going to that next level, that fulfilling life that you wanted. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you at the next video. Good night. Bye-bye.